Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening, or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share and play. Hello there. Now today I'm just going to show you how I pull apart a book. So this is one that I picked up from our local tip. They have a recycle shop beside it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off the cover. And in this one, I'd like to actually gut it completely because I kind of like the cover. I can easily put something over the spine because I don't like just that green, but that's a material spine, so I can do all sorts of things to that. I can paint it or I can do different kinds of things. Now I've got a nice sharp Stanley knife. Now normally when I'm gutting a book, you can see on this one, which is why I've chosen it to show you, there's a really nice gap here between the cover and here, and that's trying to remember desperately what the name is, but I love the header and footer pages that you use, and I just think that's a beautiful one. So I'm kind of seeing if I can keep it, but normally I would just slice down there, I'd pull the cover back and I'd slice down there and I'd slice down there, and I'd be just very careful that I don't cut into my spine. But on this one I'm going to have a go at pulling over a couple of pages so I can keep that front bit. I'm going to very carefully try and separate the section here. So let's see how I go. I'm going to actually cut more into the book. Is that going to keep it? I think it might. So see how I'm not cutting up into the page, but I'm cutting down into the book. It may not work, folks, but I've managed to keep the inside cover before. So I'm just going to try and do that again. Okay, that's good. Yes, that's good. So now I can just pull that away. There we go, and that's separated. There you go. So now I've managed to keep that side. Isn't that great? And this is one that was obviously from a library, so just has dates on that library card, but it's still cute and it's still got all these lovely little bits, so I'd love to keep those on that as well. And we will see if we can do the same at the back. Now the reason that I can do this so nicely on this one is that you can see on the front they've attached that by tipping in a page, and then they've gone to the main one, but I don't think they've done the same thing at the back. Oh no, they might have, so we might be lucky. So when I look at that, I'm actually realising no, I think they might have tipped in at the back as well. So that will let me separate it. So this is basically what you want to check when you're buying a book. You want to check that this is separate so that then you can take the text block out. If you're using it as an altered book, you don't need to be able to take the text block because you will use the actual book pages in the book. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to separate that down. And it seems to be working. So I'm trying to go into my text block more than my page. If I separate that a bit again, I'll be able to see it a little bit better again. So let's see how it ends out. Obviously keep your fingers out of the way, a lot better than what I'm doing here. Okay, so that is my text block out. And I obviously haven't managed to keep my little header pieces, but you can see here that's how they attach those little header pieces. So see, this is glued into the text block in between a piece of book cloth and the actual paper. So they've done that before they've put the text block in. So see that piece? Isn't that lovely? To see that bit of history, and you can see how they've glued it in nicely, which is all very lovely. It's a lovely way to finish a book. And then if you have a look at this, you can actually see these are what they call the signatures. So we've got all these little separate signatures. And if we have a look in the center of this signature, before we go back to our book, you can see that it's sewn in. Alrighty, so yes, you can see that they're the stitches. So if I'm actually using this as an altered book, what I would generally do is I'd find the center and I would rip out just a few pages from the center of each signature. So then I'd go to the next signature and find the center. There you go, so that's the center. And I would just rip out the center pages. So I'll do that on this just so that you can see. So you can see the difference there already. Just with those first two pages, that just gives you a little bit more room in the book. It's not as tightly packed as these ones. Alrighty, so there's some more book pages for me to use with other things. There are so many different little bits on book pages that I like to use. So I like to look for different kinds of text on a page. So this one had a spot just there. So it had some different text. Sometimes that's quite nice to have a different piece of text in it. You know, different, there's some capital letters, there's some little letters. I even like, you know, only high society birds like me are good enough to be aristocrat, fresh frozen chickens, okay? But I might like the word birds, so I could even tear that out. And then chapter ends and finishes are other good pages. Often, sometimes that just adds a little bit of interest. And the beginning of chapters. So here, well, Yabo My Bass, I don't believe that's one I would actually use. Title pages, they're fantastic because oftentimes they have words in them that you can use. Sometimes the dedications are wonderful. Pale freckled eggs, like if I just pull that out, that might be just an interesting word to put in somewhere. The farmer, you know. Sometimes those title, look at that, it's a lovely piece of coffee stain there. But sometimes the beginnings of chapters, when they have that title letter, okay, that's this. Sometimes there'll be a lovely word that you can cut out to use. You know, here's some other different text. So even within, there's so much within these book pages that I will manage to use. And of course, isn't it funny how the book that you pull out, thousands, that's probably the most interesting word I'll come across. But isn't it funny how the book you pull out, all the chapters begin with the, or what, or like one of those kinds of words. What are they? Your golden words. There you go. Golden reclining nudes of the desert. Like, what an interesting first line to just put on the bottom of a little journal card or something like that. And people go, oh, I wonder what that's all about. I love things that make you curious, or, you know, that make you just go, anything that makes me stop and just have a quick, oh, interesting. What's that all about? I think that's a really nice way that you can interact with art. So that's the actual cover of the book. And then I find a lot of these where the libraries have obviously bought these in bulk and they fold them differently. There's a lovely little sticker from somewhere. And they just fold them differently, and then they've got an instant cover for the book. But I think that just looks good, and it's got this lovely bit of wear on the edges there. It's got some wear there. So those inside jackets, I actually quite like using them quite often. But even that just fascinated me, finding that, you know, oh, that's how a library has at some point covered this book. And what a clever, quick way to cover a book. So maybe that, I don't know, maybe librarians can tell me. Maybe I should do a bit of research. I wonder if they're on like big rolls, because it sort of looks like it's a roll, doesn't it? Standard length. They probably have different length rolls that they use or something. So there you go. That's my little cover that I'll keep. And I can just keep that even around the text block. So this is called a text block. I even love the fact that this has the library. So it's a memorial library somewhere. There we go. And I don't know, I just feel like I like that piece as well. So now all I need to do is I can just clean this up a little bit. Just getting the edge of that off. And I'm going to cut the edge of that. And now I have a cover that is ready to use. And I wonder how tricky I can be. I can be pretty tricky. I'm wondering if it might be nice to prepare the spine of that now. So I've got my lovely insert. Isn't that lovely? It's the publisher's symbol, I believe. And I've got the back one. So I think they're really beautiful. And do I want to do the spine? Yeah, because I'll probably do. I usually love doing exposed covers, so I think that's fine. I'm going to cover the spine. So I'm just using straight PVA. And you can mix that with, in actual fact, I will mix it with water. Yes, I'm just going to go and add a dash of water to that. I'll be back in a sec. So yeah, when I find a nice book cover, I also tend to like to set some days aside just to play and prepare a few book covers. And then I've got something and I'll work out some that might be beautiful as an altered book so that I want to leave the pages in and just thin it out a bit. Do some others where I might want to actually, what am I trying to say? Oh, where I want to do this and gut the book, so just get out the text block and just use the covers. You know, I'll sort of look at the different book covers and have a think about what I'd like to do and what I'd like to use them for. And then it's nice because if you have a few book covers prepared, then I've got something that I can very quickly, very easily put things into. So I have a mixture here and I just need to add a bit more. But I've got PVC glue with just a dash of water, but mostly glue. So the water just helps it be a teeny bit more spreadable. I think that's the only reason. But I know a lot of bookmakers add a bit of water to their PVC. So I guess I've just followed along and done much the same thing myself. Yeah, that's still nice and thick, but it's just got a little bit of water that'll make it a bit more spreadable. Okay, now I have my book. I'm going to do my outside first because I can't wrap it around like I normally would. Yes, I am going to do my outside first. Just trying to make a decision there. Alrighty, now I'm going to simply use a bit of music. How tall does that have to be? About that tall. I'm quite happy to tear the edge of this. There we go. So there's that bit, and that's about there. And I can tear the top off after, that's fine. I'm just kind of folding it in half. Tear down there. Get rid of those music edges will be lovely for page edges in books. Okay, for this one, just go in a little bit. Let's have a look. Oh, maybe in a bit more because it would be good to have that on the edge, like just a little bit of the brown peeking out. So all I'm doing here is just covering the original book spine so that I can use the actual page that it was on. I'm going to do the glue into the book itself because it's material. I feel that it will soak a lot, so in order for this to stick, it is paper to fabric, so in order for this to stick, I believe I'm going to need to have that sort of, I don't know, pre-soaked, I guess is the word. And this does dry clear, so I really should be taking that to the edge there. There we go. So I'll thin it out to the edge. Swish, swish. Alrighty. So we'll see if this works. It'll be interesting because I don't normally cover these material spines and I often like them exposed. In this case, I just didn't like the green of the trees, so I could have easily just done that. But no, I'm doing everything. And you know what? I'm also going to use a little bit of fabric glue in this as well, because I believe that will just give it a bit of an extra hold. Just do it along the edge there. That's what I'm wanting, isn't it? Just that edge, you know, so that it really does hold that paper to the fabric. Alrighty, that's it. Nice. I like that you're a bit rough and not quite straight. Just feeling that first. That seems to be working beautifully. Now I'm going to use my bone folder just to fold you down. So if I had taken out the inside pages, I would literally just wrap this around the edge. And that's okay. That'll add a little bit of rusticness. That little tear that I've done there. I could put something else over it. That's not a problem. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that like that. And then I'm going to do the inside as well. So the inside, I think I'll need to be a little bit more careful, but I want to, there's my glue. I really want to get that glue in. So now this one, no, I don't want this one to come over the edges because I don't think that will work as successfully. How much room? Look, I think that's going to be okay. Thing is, that should really be a bit more free. So maybe what I'm doing in this case, what do you think if I actually go underneath? Yes. So I'll do a piece underneath. I like it. So what I want is, I want you to kind of sit coming out and to leave that edge out, because then it'll give me something to attach a text block into if I so desire. However, I think, as I said earlier, can't remember, I believe what I will probably do is just sew a signature into this. Okay, I've got that the right way up. Not that I mind upside down text, but you know, if I can do it the right way, I will. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'd really like you just to stick out over that edge, and I am going to just cut you across and tear you. I'll do all of it. And this one, I'll just fold you back and I'll tear you. So what I'm doing is I'm just tearing it to the top of the actual page. So now that I've got that edge in, I'm just going to glue this edge down onto that page, and I'll do the same on this side. Yes, so then you can still open your book. All right, I love it. I think that's fabulous. Just trim the top one now, you know, a little bit, and then this one I'll just be a little bit more careful. Just get you, that's it. Tear you around because you're nice and wet from the glues and you're a lovely old paper, so you're tearing beautifully. Just going to grab that little, don't like little triangle-y pokey corners. So then that will dry, and I'll put this under weight, always put it under weight, and I'll just press it flat like that. I could put a little bit of wax paper in between the pages just to make sure that they don't stick down as well. And I do that, and then I'll just leave it overnight, and in the morning I'll check out how it has dried. But I should have a lovely book piece ready to start that has these lovely pages at the front and back. So I'll more than likely, I love doing sew exposed spines with all different binding techniques. However, I could actually do this as a I don't know the name for the particular binding, but when you glue in the binding. So yeah, there you go. That is a book cover all prepared. You can like and subscribe below, and as always, keep creating. See you next time. Bye.